Good day, everyone. Welcome to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. We are here to take you economics. On today's topic, we'll be looking at economic activities. Let's go. Now, under the economic activities, what are those things that we need to learn under this particular topic? We are going to look at the definition of economic activities. We are going to look at importance or function of economic activities. Let's start with the learning objective. At the end of the lecture, students will be able to explain the meaning of economic activities. Also, they will be able to state the functions of economic activities. The first one, let's first of all take the meaning of economic activities. What is economic activity? Economic activity, it is a work a person does or perform from which he or she earns his livelihood or living. And when we are talking about livelihood, we are talking about it may be in terms of income like salary or wages, or profits you made on your sales or your trading. Now, when we are talking about, we have so many examples that is under the economic activity. That is those things that can be performed by people to make their living. Number one, we talk about making of goods, that is production of goods and services. Now, that is the first thing under the fact when we are talking about the production of goods, we are talking about creation of goods and services, either by individuals, firms, or by the government. Number two, we talk about the rendering of services like professionals, like teachers, judges, doctors, etc. Now we talk about distribution of goods. When we talk about distribution of goods, we are talking about making the goods available to the final consumer or the final users. And I want you to know that when we are talking about the production of any goods, the production of any good is not complete until it gets to the final user. Number four, we talk about exchange by traders. When we talk about exchange, we are talking about making the goods available to the final users from one person to another. The last one, we talk about consumption, making use of an item by the final consumer. It is the final consumer that can tell what the goods is all about or what the item is all about. Now, from the example, economic activities can therefore be grouped into two. We can talk about, or into three. It depends on how you will look at it. Majorly, we can group them into three. We have the production, the distribution, and the consumption. In other words, we can group them into primary production, secondary production, and tertiary production. At the primary production, we all know when we are talking about the primary production, it's majorly talking about the extraction of raw materials from their raw source. And when we are talking examples of those extraction of raw materials, we can talk of all our agricultural produce are good examples of primary production. Let me lay more emphasis on that. When we are talking about primary production, don't let your mind go elsewhere. When you are asked to give examples of primary production, all agricultural produce are good examples of primary production. Example, we talk about cocoa, timber, lumbering, fishing, etc. But when we are talking about the secondary production, at the secondary stage, that is where we talk about the transformation of goods and services, either into finished goods or semi-finished goods. Number one, you know, the first one I talked about, the primary production, and I said it deals with the extraction of raw materials, either from the soil or from the water. By the time we are done with the extraction, the next stage is talking about the transformation of those raw materials we've extracted either from the soil or from the water. So the secondary production is where the transformation or the conversion of that raw materials we've extracted to be converted or to be transformed either to the finished goods or semi-finished goods. And when we are talking about the finished goods, we are talking about goods that cannot be used for further production of other goods. It has reached the final bus stops. And when we talk about semi-finished goods, we are talking about goods that can be used for further production of other goods. Now, lastly, we talk about the tertiary production. At the tertiary level, the economic activities that take place there is talking about the commerce and service. We are talking about rendering of service or exchanges or distribution of those goods and services that have been produced at the secondary level. At this level, we have the good examples of those that render the service, the professionals. We have the doctors, the lawyers, the judges, the carpenters, the teachers, etc. Now, lastly, we need to look at the importance of this economic activity. Number one, it is a means of livelihood. That is, it is a means that make us to satisfy all our wants. Without it, there is no way you can satisfy your wants. Number two, it enables people to satisfy their wants. Like I said the other time, it is the only means whereby you can satisfy your wants. That takes us to the end of the lesson.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO Candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.
That takes us to the end of the lesson. I hope you really understood what we learned so far today. If you have any comment, suggestion, or observation, you can drop your comments at our social media handles. Thank you. God bless.